Today we're going to be talking about how to add events to Ad Astra and sync those events to the public calendar on the Wagner website. It's a little tricky, but we'll get through this together. Ad Astra is Wagner's room scheduling system, but when you add some extra details, it will also publish your event to the Daily Bulletin, the Wagner Public Events Calendar, and our new mobile app. In other words, it gets the word out and people in seats. So, I'm a student and will be creating a student organization event for this tutorial. We're going to pretend that Ken Burns is coming to lecture at Wagner because that would be awesome. Everything in this first block of data is for internal use, except for the event details. The details are important because they will be seen publicly and on the public calendar, so check your spelling and write an appealing description. Here, I'm going to explain what will occur when Ken Burns shows up, what organization is hosting him, and what he'll talk about. This section is for the public calendar. If your event is open to the whole campus or the public, check the Publish on wagner.edu checkbox here. By adding a web category here, you make it easier for people to find your event. So, for my event, I'm going to add it to the Speakers and Discussions category. For the web organizer, you can select the department or office that sponsors the event. Okay, here's where it gets a little tricky. There's a difference between meetings and an event. An event is the overall event, whereas meetings are the specific sections of time that are scheduled for that event. You can have multiple meetings within one event. So, my Ken Burns guest lecture actually runs from 7 to 9 p.m., but I will need an hour to set up and an hour to tear down. So setup is one meeting, the actual event is another meeting, and the teardown is a third meeting. This is broken down into separate meetings so that I can publish only the actual lecture to the public calendar and keep the setup and teardown times private within Ad Astra. I don't want people coming to setup, although the help would be nice. Now for the setup meeting, change the meeting name to Setup, then fill in the times that you need and create the meeting. So my setup meeting is here. Then I'm going to fill in the same information for the actual lecture. I'm going to call this meeting name Ken Burns Guest Lecture and put the time as 7 to 9 p.m. That meeting name is important because that's what's going to show up on the public calendar. Create. Perfect. And one last meeting for a teardown time to clean up after such a messy lecture. You never know. So I give myself 9 to 10 p.m. and boom. By the way, if your event is off campus, just uncheck the Requires Room box and make sure to include an address and directions in the event details. Okay, so there, we did it. Now, your event is not going to show up immediately on the Wagner calendar. It needs to be approved before it appears in both the Wagner calendar and the Ad Astra system. If you need to make an edit to your event, students should contact Charles Amerson and faculty and staff should contact Caitlin Miller. Let's check out what a completed event will look like on the Wagner calendar. Alright, so here is the meeting name as we filled in earlier, the date, time, location, and here are the event details all filled in. Looks like a sweet event to me.